listening. I mean, no, sorry. Worry about listening. Don't worry too much about the visual because there's a delay, like a
Yeah.
20-second delay. But do you notice the first difference between our bars?
Yeah, you have two rows.
Yeah. So that's the first thing we're going to turn on for you.
Alright.
Let's see here. I want to make sure. Go ahead and say something.
Something.
Oh, cool. Okay. It's picking you up. All right. I just wanted to
Alright.
make sure that like the stream didn't have me just talking to myself. All right. So
Okay.
first things first, we're going to character. We're going to scroll down to hotbar. Character settings. Sorry.
Okay. Alright.
Okay. Once you're there, we're going to go all the way to. Let me make sure this is nothing on this first page. Okay. We're going to go to cross. We're going to
Across.
scroll. Yeah. All right. And then under cross, you want W cross hotbar settings.
Okay, I see that.
All right. And you're going to go ahead, check the box, always display, return to XHB. And I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, you just want those two. And that should
Mm,
show your.
The but apply.
Yeah, hit apply.
Let's see.
If it doesn't
Uh,
show,
it shows.
okay, so we're going to go to
Oh,
custom.
but okay, but it shows only two, and yours shows four.
Let's see if. Let's see which button that is. Okay, actually, that's going to be under custom.
Oh, where is that?
So it's
Oh,
character
custom
config.
art. Okay,
Yeah.
and then
So
put enable expanded controls. Okay,
yeah, we want expanded controls.
and
We want
enable WXB thing.
yep, and enable directional buttons.
All right.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
Why? There we go. Now I have four.
Okay. Now what I do here is I change all the displays to cross hotbar 6 left and right.
Oh, okay.
That way, because what's going to happen is if you get a new ability, it just adds it on to the next cross hotbar. So, like, if one is full, it's going to start adding on to two, etc., etc.
All right.
So, the reason why we do 6 is so nothing gets screwed up later on, basically.
All right. Gotcha. All
Alright, so
right.
we
Okay.
set all that. Everything else is just whatever's. Okay.
Okay.
Alright, so that's the beginning of it. I'm setting mine to number 1. And now we're going to go to actions and traits. And here's where we start setting up our bars to be more player friendly. Um, I would recommend clearing out your hotbar completely. Like, just take everything off of it.
All right.
Because we're just going to start from square one, and I'm going to go through it with you.
How do I do that? Like get rid of them?
Okay, so you hold the trigger. You
All
hit,
right.
I think for you it's the center pad.
All right.
And then you will double tap each button to get rid of it.
Oh, okay.
So let me know when that's clear.
All right.
Meanwhile, I'm going to pull up my warrior one. Because I'm going to base this off of the warrior that I already did.
Alright, there we go.
Okay, let me see.
Oh, wait, I need to get rid of the other page as well. Hold up.
Okay, that's how I did it. Alright, cool.
Alright, there.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and set up to oh whoops. Okay, hold on. Okay. All right. So from square one, you have hard slash. So your main attack is going to be hard slash, siphon strike, soul eater, right?
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead. Now I like to start my combos with the X button. Ultimately, it's up to you. Just get those three on the right trigger, X circle, square triangle area.
Alright.
Okay, whichever way is comfortable for you. I'm not going to go right down the list. I'm just going to kind of do everything one at a time. So that's your main 1, 2, 3. You're always going to be doing that, right?
Yeah.
Now, I've told you about like global cooldown, off global cooldown, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Edge of Darkness is your off global that you're going to be using the most. That's the one that gives you your damage bonus. It costs your cost MP, and you use it between your attacks.
Okay.
So put that also with your crossbar face buttons.
Right.
All right, and that's pretty much it for your single target global cooldown like setup, right?
Yeah.
Now, which way is easier? This is weird. Okay. How do I have my warrior set? Where did I put Tomahawk? Okay, Tomahawk is there. Okay. So, dang it. Alright, next is your unmend ability. That is your ranged pulling ability. If you use this when the fight first starts, you're not going to be losing aggro. You know.
Yeah.
Deal some damage, increased enmity, which is aggro, and long range. So that we're gonna put that, since you're not spamming it all the time, that's gonna be on left trigger.
Okay.
Okay. Your left trigger is gonna be your AoE and like utility stuff, right?
Yeah.
So like all your important attacks I always put on X circle square triangle. All your unimportant ones I put on the directional buttons. So with that being said, we're going to put on Unleash, your AoE. We're going to put that on the left trigger. You will get a second ability called Stalwart Soul at level 72. That will be like your 1-2 combo for AoEs.
Alright.
So I put that kind of in whatever the same way that your single targets are. You're going to do that with your secondary AoE. And even though you don't have it yet, we're just going to go ahead and put it on your bars so you're ready for it.
Alright.
Okay. So let's see. We got those two. Your next one, Grit, your tank stance. So this is where we're going to start using our crossbars, okay?
Oh, okay.
So what you do is you hold L2 and you hit R2. And it's going to show you a whole new bar, right?
No, it does not.
Does not. Okay. Then I'm going to go back to character config. We're going to go double check this. Okay. Alright, so under character config, if you can see my screen, does your...
Wait, never mind. I figure it out.
Okay, cool, good. Alright, so we're going to put grit, like, way in the back, quote unquote, because it's not something that you're going to be hitting more than, you know, once a fight or even twice in a dungeon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, in order to do that, you have to hit R1 or hold R1. Go to set 6. And then you're just going to drop grit somewhere on the left trigger, left D-pad. Or like somewhere on the left trigger D-pad.
Okay.
Cool, got it?
Yeah.
Alright, so let's see. Let me take a quick second to see what my warrior looks like. Crap, I have to get out of combat. Come on, get me out of combat. There it goes. Okay. Now where did I put that for warrior? Okay, so that's delirium. That is blood weapon. Okay. Alright, next up is blood weapon. This is how you're going... What's up?
I love using that ability.
Yeah, no, this and delirium are your only two damaging buffs. Like, these are the two big ones. This builds your blood gauge, gives you MP back, only when you're landing your normal single target 1, 2, 3, or your AoE attacks.
Okay.
It does not work with your off global spells. So that one you're actually going to use fairly frequently. So we're going to do R2 somewhere on the left D-pad.
Okay.
Okay. Shadow Wall, your tank ability. Your big defensive cooldown. That one's going to go on your left trigger. Because again, you can only use it every 2 minutes. And I'm going to put it on the left D-pad somewhere. Okay. Essentially, you don't want to use Shadow Wall and Rampart together. But when you're pulling 2 or 3 groups of enemies, you want to use one of them at least. You have four abilities for that basically, and we'll go through them when we get there. All right. Next is Dark Mind. This one's kind of weird because it's only magic, right? It only reduces magic, but this works on boss abilities. So like if you see a big AoE attack, right? Oh hey, it is it's Revolver.
Oh.
Wait, where is he? He's here somewhere. I don't see him. Actually, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna add you to party. And I totally forgot that we have dummies over at the guild house. So we're gonna go there.
Oh, okay.
Just for the sake of going there. It's also probably less latency because we're not in the snow. Alright. Where did he put that up? Oh, cool. Alright. I think I can change my gear here, too. There we go. Okay. Alright, so now, where was I? Dark Mind. This is also going to go left trigger somewhere.
Okay.
Left trigger D-pad. Again, you're not going to use this even as much as your other cooldowns, but when you see an AoE, when you see, like, you know how Shinryu did that big AoE that no one could dodge?
Yeah.
Like, that's when you use Dark Mind.
Okay, I get you.
Like, those big hits that are going to happen no matter what you do, you pop
Yeah.
that.
That's something that Xenos did a lot.
Yeah, Xenos does it too. Every time he did that big, like, groundbreaking AoE.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, next is Living Dead.
Dead, okay.
We're going to put that on our 6 bar.
Alright.
Left trigger, I would say face button somewhere, like triangle or something.
Alright.
They kind of explained it a little bit. It has its merits, but compared to other tanks, it's not so great, right? A real quick rundown. When you use it, you have the effect, right?
Yeah.
You have 10 seconds. If you drop to 1 health within those 10 seconds, you'll get a new ability, and you won't be able to die. Essentially what happens is, during that time, which is another 10 seconds, you cannot die, but if your health is not restored to 100%, then within those 10 seconds you will die.
Huh.
Yeah, so it's very unique. Every tank has an ability like this, a you can't kill me ability, essentially. Dark Knight's is the only one that has a quote-unquote chance to fail. And that is, if you're not healed up after you drop down to 1 health, you will die. Paladins will just reduce all damage taken to 0. Warrior will be reduced down to 1 health but cannot move. And Gunbreaker's kind of silly too. Let me see if I can use it here. Let me see if it's even on my bars. Wow. Okay, no, they all share the same cooldown apparently. Gunbreakers will reduce you to 1 health, and then you take no damage. So Dark Knight's pretty unique in the fact that you can die. That's about it. Oh, there's a move I skipped over. Edge of Darkness, your level 40 ability.
Yeah.
This is the AoE version of Flood, wait. No, I'm sorry. Flood of Darkness, the level 30 ability. That is the AoE version of your Edge of Darkness. So, so when you do that, you can also do a line attack that will be AoE. And that's just your AoE version of getting your Dark Arts up.
Okay.
So you have your single target, and then you have your AoE, which I can't do. There we go. And it goes pretty far. It hits that 3rd dummy all the way back there.
Alright.
Yeah, let me get some mana back here. Okay. So whenever you have 2 or more targets, the only ability you want to use is this Unleash right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then you want to use your Flood attack, your AoE version. I'm going to go ahead and put my Flood of Darkness on the same part as my other AoEs. That way, for simplicity's sake. Alright, and what did I do? Frickin', okay, hold on. I gotta get into the house and get out. Because the aggro won't let me change jobs. Okay, back out. I need to fix my streaming quality. It's not so great. Okay. Alright, now what did I do for my warrior here? Okay, easy enough. Alright, so now we have... Now we're getting into our off globals, right?
Yeah.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we have 4 offensive ones. Salted Earth. I'm gonna go ahead and put that... Okay, actually, Salted Earth, I'm gonna give you a macro for that. And we're gonna deal with that later. But for conversation's sake, I mean, it's not the hardest thing to use on controller, I guess. I just am not a big fan of this big old ring, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But either way, this is one of the abilities. Like, if you watch me over here, you will be using, like, hard slash, and then you'll cast Salted Earth right after it before you can do your next 1, 2, 3 attack. That's the goal, at least. And that's going to be the same with all of these. Salted Earth does an insane amount of damage in single target and AoE. So use it every time it's up. Plunge. Okay. You know what Plunge does?
No.
Okay, Plunge is like your gap closer. If you watch me, you use Plunge and you'll dive towards your target.
Oh.
So when you start dealing with, like, Xenos, right? When he did that electricity attack, you had to run away. But in order to make up that time, you'll just plunge right back into him.
Oh, that makes it so much easier.
Yeah. You can also, once my cooldown is up, and this is a little bit harder, since you kind of gotta press 2 buttons, right? But you can unmend and plunge right after.
Ooh, okay.
So yeah, you do your range attack, you plunge in, and that's pretty much how you're going to start most fights.
Alright.
You'll get a second charge, they call it, so you can use it back to back at level 72, I think. No, 78. 78, actually. Either way. At 78, you will always want to keep one ready and then one for damage. So you never want to use both of them right away, because you never know when you have to walk out and get back in.
Okay.
Alright, so that's Plunge. And now we have Abyssal Drain, our other AoE global cooldown. Now, this one we get at 56, deals AoE damage, and then heals you for the damage you dealt. Not super great single target, but when you have a big pack of enemies, this will almost bring you to full health.
Ooh, alright.
Yeah, so let me see what's easier.
Okay, now since I have all this new stuff, I'm gonna have to practice and get used to all of it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. That's kind of what Alexander's going to be for. Count's most likely going to main tank, and then you can spend more time just figuring out your buttons. Okay, and your last offensive off global cooldown is Carve and Spit, the green sword over here.
Alright.
Basically, a 1 minute cooldown, deals pretty decent damage, like pretty damn decent damage actually. It matches up with Soul Eater. It does more damage than Soul Eater. So having an off global cooldown do more damage than a global cooldown is very rare. So it's a big hit that also restores MP back to you.
Ah, okay.
And we're actually going to move Blood Weapon for now, because I forgot about this. We're going to go ahead and put Carve and Spit on the right trigger, D-pad down. So basically what's going on is when you hold right trigger, this is everything you need for single target offense. Like everything here is set up for you to be able to not have to worry about letting go of the right trigger. Okay?
Yeah.
Alright. Pretty simple. And that's your kit, right? That is the very basic of what you have up to level 60. And it only gets a tiny bit expanded after. So for now, that's what you got. This is what your main bar is going to look like. We're gonna take a break, not from this. We're gonna take a break from your Dark Knight abilities, and we're gonna go into your roll abilities.
Okay.
Just to fill up these last two spots over here on the left. Okay, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna, Rampart 20% damage reduction. We're gonna put that over here on the left trigger D-pad.
Alright.
And your other left trigger D-pad is going to be used. Okay. We're going to use it for your level 70 ability.
Blackest Night?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, this is your anti-tank buster ability. Every tank has an anti-tank buster. What a tank buster is it is an ability. It's just one really big hit that would kill anyone who isn't a tank. Like, it's going to drop a tank down to anywhere from 25 to 50% of their health. So anyone who doesn't have our armor, our HP, is just going to fall over dead, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what Blackest Night does, 15-second recast time, so it's super small. And this can be used off of the global cooldown. Creates a barrier around the target, absorbing damage, totaling a quarter of their maximum HP. So basically, your HP increases by 25% when you use this, and it will be eaten up, and that's kind of the goal. And so, if I were to throw it on you, right?
Yeah.
I guess that's the other thing. You can throw it on other people that aren't yourself. And the thing behind that is, if you're off tanking, right? If you're level 70 and someone else is main tanking, when you see that tank buster, you can throw Blackest Night on them.
Alright.
And help reduce the damage. The second effect is that when the shield is completely absorbed, right? You get a free cast of your Edge of Shadow, Flood of Shadow.
Ooh, alright.
Because it does cost the same amount. All these cost MP, and Blackest Night does cost MP. But if you use the shield, it essentially refunds the cost. So you're not missing out on damage.
Alright.
The times you'll use that is tank busters, definitely. And anytime you're pulling multiple enemies, like trash mobs. You know what I'm saying? So like earlier when all those like war dogs came out when we were doing Alamigo, you would throw Blackest Night on yourself, and you would absorb like a huge chunk of damage.
Alright.
Alright, so that is your main crossbar with everything filled up. Pretty simple. And then I'll give you like a quick rotation you can do. So, do you have yours set up exactly like mine?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So then hold on. I need mana first. So I'm just gonna put Blood Weapon on the bar, just so I have it. Oh yeah, it's actually like dumb easy. Okay, so let me put on blood weapon. So I'm starting off with blood weapon, but you don't have to. You're gonna go X, triangle, circle, right D-pad, square, up D-pad, X, down, and you're kind of just alternating, you see?
Yeah.
It doesn't, it doesn't really matter which off global cooldown you do, because you're still kind of going through it, and you're not doing anything where it's, like, super complicated, you know what I mean? Like, you're not required to do a crap ton of damage to complete content right now. When you hit level 80 and we start doing harder things, like, you'll want to refine it, you know, find out the quote-unquote best way to do it.
Yeah.
But for now, you're just trying to get the feel of using an ability between an ability, if that makes any sense.
Alright.
There you go. Alright. And I'm going to show you one more thing that's part of your kit. I'm going to go ahead and step back. Alright, so now we have the question of where do you put blood weapon. And what I'm going to do is I'm putting it on bar 6. Well, see, there's no real amazing spot for blood weapon, because you have more buttons than a warrior does. But for now, until we can find something better, we'll put blood weapon here on right trigger square. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And you see that blood gauge you have?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you been using that at all?
Yes, I've been using Blood Spiller a lot.
Okay. So you have Blood Spiller and Quietus, a single target version and an AoE version, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you hit 50, even whenever, you can even charge it till 100. It doesn't really matter. If you're using blood weapon, you're better off charging it to 100. But we're gonna put those bar 6. Whoops. We're gonna put those on bar 6. Let's actually put blood spiller on X and quietus on circle.
Okay.
Cool. And then have you been using delirium?
Delirium? No, I have not been using delirium.
Okay, so this is kind of like blood weapon, right? We're gonna go ahead and put that on bar 6 triangle R2.
Okay.
Okay, so you have 2 buffs in your kit, right?
Yeah.
Set your bar back to 1.
Okay.
All right, now when you hold right trigger and then press, or right R2, I should say, and you press L2, it shifts the bars, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's what the bar is above each bar. That's your easy way to get to more bars. You feel me?
Yeah, I getcha.
You can also double tap if you want. You can double tap R2 and it'll bring you right back up there.
Oh, okay.
So whichever one's better for you. I think holding R2 and shifting is going to be better in the long run. Because you still want to use your off globals between everything, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I guess you can cheat. Actually, no, wait, we can totally cheat. Hold on. Let's go back to our spell book. Actions and traits. Now we're gonna go back through what we just did, right? We're gonna go to bar 6. We're gonna put plunge, abyssal drain, carve and spit, all right where they were, basically, but on bar 6.
Okay, I get you.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you still want to use these between Blood Spiller and Quietus. So this way you don't have to, hold R2 or hold L2, let go, hit it, let go, hit it, let go, etc.
Alright, I get you.
In fact, let's move Delirium while we're at it. We're gonna take it off of Triangle. We're gonna move Delirium to the left D-pad, actually. And we're gonna go ahead and put Edge of Darkness in the triangle spot. So that way you can still hit Edge of Darkness too while you're there. Right?
Alright.
Yeah. Yeah, that works. Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. Alright, so the way Delirium works, warriors have a very similar ability. The description reads, allows the execution of Quietus and Blood Spiller without the cost of the blood gauge, and restores mana when landing either one of them. So this is a burst phase, is what they call it. And all you're gonna do, you're gonna activate Delirium, and depending on if it's single target or AoE, you're just gonna keep hitting Quietus or Blood Spiller. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I kind of still gonna have to get used to it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you won't have this in the Alexander raid. It's a plus 60
That's
ability.
just when I get more further.
Yeah, exactly. Like Alamigo, all that, you'll be able to use it. In your patch quest, you'll be able to use it. Stuff like that. And that is the core. That is like the actual core of your kit now. You have two abilities that we didn't talk about for level 76 and level 80. 76 is like your raid shield, essentially. Dark Missionary. It's an AoE Dark Mind, is all it is. Another one of those you use when a raid buster is happening. And Living Shadow doesn't really have a good place to be put, but that's your stand.
Yeah.
So
Seems more like, you don't need it. Like, it's good to have, but you just don't need it. That's what...
yeah, you'll only be using it once a minute.
Yeah.
And it does cost your blood gauge. As you can see here, I can only use it now. And then he'll just come up, and he does like one of every ability. He always does the same. He'll unmend, he'll plunge, he'll quietus, do a flood of shadow. It's actually almost all AoEs. Except for the last two. 3, I guess. Wow. Okay. And then he's done. The only other abilities that you gotta know about, there's Provoke, which you know about. Provoke. So Provoke isn't good to start a fight with. What it does is that, so let's say you and me are fighting the same thing, right? And I'm tanking it, I'm ahead, but the boss, and this happens sometimes, this will actually happen in the next dungeon, the boss will put stacks on a tank, right? After let's say 5 stacks, the tank dies, no questions asked, they're dead. So what you have to do is you have to swap aggro between the two tanks. Now, Provoke doesn't do any damage, and doesn't give you aggro. It just puts you on the top of the list, and then it's up to you to stay on top of the list.
Alright, so it's like taking turns, like tanking, kind of.
Yeah, basically. So it's like, hey, I need you to take the boss. Well, what the fuck are you gonna do? DPS it harder? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, you're gonna provoke it, and then you're gonna hit unmend. Your little range attack here. The thing with unmend is that it has the secondary effect. It has the secondary effect of extra aggro. And what that actually means is that it gives you 7 times the aggro for that damage.
Okay.
So, like, that's the way to pull aggro. You will provoke first and then unmend right after, and, like, bam, you're solid.
Alright.
So there's that ability. You have 2 offensive roll abilities in low blow and interject. These are...
I don't really like using them, really.
Yeah, I mean, they're useful, right? Interject doesn't always work. There are some bosses, like, you remember the sea, the first part of Stormblood?
Yeah.
When you're on the boat? There's that one boss right before the last boss, that, like, mini boss guy. He does that hysteria ability, and that can be interrupted with interject, and then he won't put hysteria on the team. That's good. It's another one of those, like, super situational kind of things, but good to have on the bars. However, we're running out of room really quickly, and it's probably because we have the R2 left D-pad all the same, which is fine. It's whatever. So we're just going to get the other 2 important spells on here. There's Reprisal.
Yeah.
That one, AoE, enemies do 10% less damage to you. Good for trash mobs. Good for trash mobs, and when the boss is going to do an AoE. Because that's bam, 10% less damage to all your friends. The other one is Arm's Length. This one's amazing. I didn't know how amazing this was until maybe a month ago, because I didn't understand it. Basically, what Arm's Length will do is you activate it, and you gain the buff. When an enemy hits you, they will be slowed by 20% in attack swings. So it does not work on bosses, which is fine. But when you have a big AoE pack and a bunch of things are all smacking you at once, this is going to reduce the damage you take by a lot. Because where they would hit you 4 times, they're only going to hit you 3 times within, like, I don't know, 10 seconds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a big thing for AoE packs. Once you start dealing with that, like Doma Castle, right? Not the first pack where it's 3 dudes, but when you walk up and it's all those spider things.
Yeah.
That's when you want an Arm's Length.
Okay.
Because all those things hitting you, like those 10, 15 things hitting you, are now going to hit you 25% slower.
Alright.
And that'll just reduce the damage you take by a whole crap ton, basically. And yeah, that is your kit. That is your character.
Alright, I like it.
There are some more advanced rules to your off globals. I wouldn't recommend trying to like force them in right now, but just so you know, you can use, except for Soiled Earth, because Soiled Earth's targeting thing is very annoying.
Mm-hmm.
You can use 2 off global cooldowns between a global cooldown.
Okay.
So you can like you can do hard slash, edge of shadow, carve and split, siphon strike, plunge, abyssal drain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But don't try to force it. You know what I mean? Like just get comfortable knowing that you have things to hit in between other things.
All right.
And yeah, so that's the gist of it. I'm gonna turn off this stream here.